Hey guys, thanks so much for joining. I'm excited to have you. My name is Gene Ivanov, and I want to show you guys how I became an intelligent investor, how you can become an intelligent investor, and the 3 strategies professional investors use to protect and grow their wealth. And I want to share with you guys my story, my epiphany that happened to me over a series of years, and what eventually led me to become a wealth management professional, and why I'm sharing these stories with you guys. I really want you guys to have access to this information. I really want the world to have access to this information because I really believe in it myself, and it feels good to do things intelligently. It's given me a lot of peace of mind, peace of soul, and it makes sense. So I want to share this information with you guys, and I do it with my clients, and want to basically give access to the world. So before we do that, I want to start with some disclosures. Please read. Okay, cool. So we're just going to get to some basic disclosures out of the way. So I want to share with you guys my story, like my epiphany. Like what happened? Why did I become a financial professional? So I was in the Netherlands once, and I was able to sit next to the business development person for this soccer team. And he basically used the natural resources of the environment to really try and leverage the growth of the soccer team. Very smart man. He told me something very interesting. He introduced me this concept called hunting versus farming. And he said the idea of hunting is, it's feast or famine. The idea of farming is that ultimately, you might, in the beginning, it might take time. You're not getting any results or whatever it is, but you have to, you prepare the farm, and eventually you will be able to get the benefits of your land and what you're doing over the long term, even while you sleep. So creating this idea of, when we invest in our time into whatever our primary business is, and at the time I sold my company, and I wanted to get involved in different investments. I was trying to figure out what to do. So I was hunting, but with my passive income, I wasn't farming. So I wanted to learn how to farm in the best way. And then I realized actually that, when I came into some money after selling my company, that everyone's willing to take your money, but they don't really, I didn't find anything that made so much sense. And I actually trusted the wrong person, unfortunately lost some money due to that. So I realized mistakes are really expensive, and everyone makes mistakes. And so if I could prevent you guys from making some mistakes today, I'd love to do that, because it's just way too expensive. And then I realized there's something called the power of compound return, that in your passive investments, as they grow, and you can tweak them over time, but you basically, time either works for you or against you. And I realized it's better if time works for you, right? Like, why would you not want your time to work for you, right? Like, don't you want your time to work for you? Like, how good would it feel if your time works for you? It's pretty cool, right? And it also just, it sets a good tone for your children, because over time you really see the benefits of compound return over like a 30-year period. They're very, very powerful. Albert Einstein said, the 8th wonder of the world is compound return. Those who understand it benefit from it, and those who don't lose to it. So compound return is a powerful one. And that's the idea of getting involved in passive incomes. And then we want to do things intelligently. Like, what do the experts do? Who can we learn from? So I knew I wanted to get involved with a firm that invests at least over $10 million of their own money into the same strategies for clients. And I found these 2 gentlemen who met at Harvard Law School, and one went on to become an investment banker, and another went on to become a money manager at a big mutual fund. And they kind of developed their own strategies over time. One was very into value investing, like Warren Buffett, and the other was very much into dividends and solid dividend strategies, and he's been doing it for like 30 years now. So I realized that these are the 2 guys I wanted to learn from. They're very experienced and pretty knowledgeable in the space. So I was very, very fortunate to be able to meet them and learn from them. And I want to share with you some of these strategies that I learned from them. And then at the end, I realized the importance of legacy. That, the purpose of money is really to be able to create new experiences, new opportunities for ourselves, for our families, for our kids, whether that's education, going on really cool vacations. But money buys a lot of advantages in life. When you have money, it's easier to do things, less stress. So if you can create that education, not for just yourself, but for your children and your family, and show them the proper financial principles and structures, so that is very, very valuable to, I think, a person's fulfillment in life, the need to contribute, and the need to have meaning in life, especially for one's family. Common mistakes we see in investing all the time are people get involved in annuities because they think that they want to protect their money, right? So if I'm going to protect my money, I'm scared of taking any risk. And so people will buy it's basically sell like insurance to you in a sense, but they charge very high fees for it. So it's very expensive, and oftentimes it just doesn't make sense. Another thing is that people want to get involved in residential real estate because they see that, I could see the building, I can go to it, and they don't realize that they only have a few sources of income, and if there are vacancies in their residential real estate, that there's no income coming in. And also the cost of repairing it is much more. So there are much better opportunities in the commercial real estate space for passive investing, and to get oftentimes better, if not equal, returns than other types of residential real estate investments. Also, bonds in the bull market is typically not a good idea with interest rates being so low. You're not going to get such great returns. You may want to consider a dividend strategy instead. And the biggest mistake is that we see people do nothing. They think, wow, it's a bull market, or whatever the case is, and they're just too scared because they don't know who to trust, or they don't have the right education. And so if that's you, if you're just too scared and you have everything in cash, so we will help you if you're open to it. Right? Do we have your permission? Awesome. So if we have your permission, if we can help you get those winning principles to educate yourself on what we do ourselves for our clients and those around us, you may want to consider these strategies for yourself. So one of the things we do is we put a third in equities, a third in real estate, and a third in cash to take advantage of good deals. Now, just a disclaimer, the third in cash sometimes is in cash and sometimes is not in cash. And so let me share with you a little bit about what we do. So on the third equities, we get involved in what are called small cap value funds. And it's a pretty cool story, actually. You guys heard of the University of Chicago, the David School Booth of Business? So David Booth donated $300 million actually to have the school called the Booth School of Business. And what David did was he actually basically hired two financial scientists, one from Dartmouth and one from University of Chicago. One's name is Eugene Pharma, and the other one's Kenneth French. And they actually both ended up winning Nobel Prizes for their research in discovering that ultimately small cap value funds, which we'll talk about in a minute, over a long period of time, over a 30-year period, outperform other types of index funds. Now the cool thing is, actually, if you ask Warren Buffett, right? Imagine you could ask Warren Buffett any question. You could say, hey, Warren Buffett, how should I invest my money? Well, he actually tells us. And actually so does Tony Robbins in his book Unshakable, who he's interviewed the top financial, basically people in the United States, as have I, but not to the extent that he has. And they came with the idea that you should put the money in S&P 500, which basically is the top 500 businesses over time. And the key is to what's called dollar cost average, so you put money in every month. Because there's a theory that there are 10 trading days throughout the year that are not always known, which have all the action happening. So because you can't predict those 10 days, if you put money in every single month through the highs and the lows, you will get those 10 days, and that'll account for your returns. So that's their strategy. I want to introduce you to something a little more advanced than that, because that strategy is kind of just for the masses. But I want to give you guys some cool insights that I've learned called enhanced indexing, which we'll talk about. But that's generally the idea that instead of putting it in the S&P 500 and putting in just general companies, what you could do is you could put it in small cap value stocks or a fund of them, which would be like 20,000 companies that will give you a little, like about 1 to 3% extra return over the S&P historically over a 30-year period. We'll talk about that in a little bit, which is a really cool idea. I was kind of blown away when I learned about this because it's really based on financial science. It's really an academic approach to investing. The third in real estate is commercial and residential. Now, if you want to buy a house for your personal needs, that is not an investment always. It could be. It's really a lifestyle choice. If you're looking for passive income, the idea of commercial is that there are many more sources of income. Let me give you an example. If you put your money in a REIT, and if you're an accredited investor or a qualified client, so you can actually invest directly. But if you're not, you can put your money in REITs, which are second best option. And let me tell you a little bit about how they work. So there's two types of REITs. One is for, let's say, apartments or businesses and offices, and another one is for mortgages. We typically don't get involved in the mortgage type of REITs. We do enjoy the REITs that buy good apartment complexes or good buildings with multiple sources of income in good locations. Let me give you an example. So if you buy an apartment complex somewhere in Texas in a nice school district, and you have, let's say, 400 units. Well, vacancy is part of life, right? So if you have, a commercial property with 400 units, and then you have a residential property with, let's say, 5 units. So let's say one person leaves in the 5-unit complex, so you just lost a significant portion of your income. If one person leaves in a 400-unit complex, okay, that's natural, but you still have 398 sources of income, right? Or 399 sources of income. So also, there's just more upside. And basically, when it comes to fixing these places, so it's easier and cheaper to fix 400 units than it is to fix 6 oftentimes. So you get more value on the upside and on the downside to optimize your investment, typically with less stress than residential, Because with residential, you probably run there every 5 minutes, you spend a lot of your time, and sometimes it's just not worth it. Big mistake, because you can spend a lot of time and not gain so much out of it. I've seen it happen, unfortunately. I see it happen all the time, so I want to share this with you guys. Pretty cool, huh? Is this interesting? It's really interesting, I think. I think it's life-changing to get the right financial concepts, the right financial principles. And even if you take one thing from this webinar before you book a consult with us, you'll gain something that hopefully will help you out significantly. And the third cash, we basically use that to either buy businesses. For example, sometimes a guy has a great business that's run semi-absentee in New York, but now he's got to move to Florida because his wife wants to retire. So he needs to sell his business. So you can find different types of good deals like that. We also have hard money lending strategies that you can find with good real estate, where it's just pretty secure. And also there's a concept of a market correction. So market correction is that sometimes the stocks are valued or overvalued or undervalued, and there's a market correction to kind of rebalance the market. And during those times, you can get some pretty awesome deals on the dividend side. And we've got some powerful dividend strategies that give you a return no matter what. So even if it's a bull market, bear market, the dividend side is giving you a return. And also, hopefully, we try and find 30 to 50 companies where we can get some growth over time, where we can buy a company that's slightly undervalued or out of favor, and over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll look for growth. There's a number of companies we've done that with. Because of the nature of webinars, we can't advertise these things. We can't advertise our performance. We're not allowed to disclose a lot of information, unfortunately. We could talk about that in our consult, but that's for the end. So large cap versus small cap stocks. I want to share with you guys basically the idea that small caps are companies between $300 and $1 billion, 300 million and 2 billion. And then large caps are 10 billion and over, and mid caps are in between the 2 billion and 10 billion mark. And so the idea is with small caps for the long-term strategy, you get a greater return simply because now it's again with greater risk and over a 30-year period. But the idea is that, let's say you and I own a Coca-Cola company or a Pepsi or a soda pop company, and we're doing 500 million in sales. So we're like a small cap, right? Pretty solid. We have $500 million market capitalization. And let's say we are looking for investors, right? Coca-Cola has $1 billion market capitalization, or multi-billion dollar. So oftentimes an investor will feel more comfortable to go with a known brand for the same type of return. So therefore, to compete, small caps have to offer a greater return to its investors. But investing in any one small cap stock could be very expensive or too risky. So you want to diversify over, let's say, 20,000 stocks, and that'll give you protection and security. So as long as you believe in capitalism and that stocks and businesses continue to grow, over time you will have a successful experience. So on the residential and commercial side, again, if you invest in commercial real estate, there's many more opportunities for income because let's say you have 400 units or you have 400 units, 400 unit buildings, so you have 16,000 options for or 160,000 options for income. It makes a world of a difference and gives you a lot more potential upside with less stress than a residential place. Again, there are people who make money off residential real estate. However, you have to be really nuanced and focus on it full time. It's more challenging as a passive source of income. Buying a house is also could be an investment, but it's more of a lifestyle choice. And you can book a consult with us to get more information on what type of REITs are good for you, or if you're making over $1 million, if you're worth over $1 million and you make about $300K a year and you're married, or if you're not married and make $200K a year, we have some direct options that you can invest in directly with us as part of our funds. And we're happy to share that information with you. So once you've made money and you've invested it and you've done things intelligently and you're now acting like an intelligent investor, it's pretty awesome, right? Like you're approaching things intelligently, feel good about yourself, feel good about your family's future, and you're pretty excited for life, right? It's pretty awesome. So then at a certain point in life, you want to think about the future and you want to think about your kids and how to set up different trusts that are tax favored. You don't want to give money to the government unnecessarily. And you also want your kids to be properly set up so that they not only not blow the money, but hopefully can use the money and continue being successful because they've learned the right principles. So we do a whole training on this and a whole planning on this, but just some simple points that a revocable trust is something that the parents might want to do, if they want to have more control. Irrevocable trust is something that it might sometimes be worth it if there's debt collectors coming after you. Each case is different. Coaching is a key point that we really encourage our clients to hire coaches for their kids at different ages, a spiritual coach, a financial coach, a health coach, a marketing coach, and a personal development coach, and to offer your kids as much coaching as possible so they can have the right mentors and make good decisions and eventually train their kids and grandkids for the future. So when you have this long-term thinking, long-term trajectory, you tend to just make better decisions and set your family up for a better future and a more exciting future for that matter. Different people ask us about insurance, and we advocate term insurance and permanent insurance potentially when it comes to estate planning. Whole life and universal we're more cautious with. If you're looking for an investment, it makes more sense to invest in different types of ETFs or different types of indexes or enhanced indexes as opposed to using insurance as an investment policy. Although there are nuances, because sometimes people want to borrow against the money. There's intelligent ways to do that. So every case is case by case. But generally, whole life and universal, we do not advocate them to be good investments. 529 plans. If you want your kids to go to college and you're thinking about college, there's different 529 plans that help you save on taxes. So you can invest your money and that money can grow and you can take it out tax-free to pay for your kids' education. Now, one thing to note that it varies state by state, and some states have a more favorable policy than others. You can actually get signed up with any state. You just have to do this intelligently, and we can potentially help you do that. But there's definitely a lot of nuances here, and you want to do this correctly. Otherwise, you might either put too much money into it or not enough money into it, depending on the situation. And there are some great tax benefits that you may want to enjoy for your children and grandchildren. One cool fact I want to give you guys, one little secret, is that if you're a solo entrepreneur, if you have, let's say, an Amazon business and you just make money off that, you don't have that many employees, or you're the sole owner, so you can actually save more money through what's called a solo 401k, and the upper limit of that is about $53,000 for those under 50, which, as opposed to a Roth IRA, is only $5,500. And if you're not a solo entrepreneur, you don't own for yourself, you have partners, you have a corporation, so at the very least, try and put your money in a Roth IRA, which saves you taxes over the long term. That instead of paying them later, you can pay them now on a smaller amount, and then in the future you can enjoy the benefits of having a larger amount without having to pay for them. So I want to make sure you guys are getting value. You guys are enjoying this? Okay, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are enjoying this, because can you just see yourself doing this? Can you see yourself following an intelligent process and just feeling good about yourself that you're making intelligent decisions? Like, I've felt so much better about myself since I've learned this information, because it's given me confidence to protect my family, to grow money for my family, for my friends, and for my clients. So I'm pretty excited about all this. I'm pretty excited to share with you guys on this, so you guys have access to the same information. Now, one question people ask me all the time, they're like, Gene, can you time the market? And you know what? So many statistics show that most people can't time the market. And to try to time the market is just it's almost silly, because it's very challenging to do so. And even of the geniuses that try to do it, I've seen statistics that say like 70 to 90% of them fail. Of course, 10% succeed and a small amount do succeed, but relying on them is highly, highly risky. And it's not always the most sound approach. What you can do is do something called dollar cost averaging, which means that you just put away money every single month, no matter what happens. And if you develop that habit and you do it consistently, then over time you'll have great results, because through whatever the market cycles you're going through, you'll be able to benefit from when things are cheap. For example, during the financial crisis, that just means things are on sale. So you may want to consider investing a little more during that time in the right things, and again, consult an advisor to make sure the strategy makes sense. But generally, dollar cost averaging, develop those winning habits, is really what gets you to that place you want to be. It gets to your goals, gets to your belief system, helps you get to that place of not just financial freedom, but emotional freedom. So oftentimes people say, should I invest in technology stocks? And sometimes people get excited about different things and different stocks. Now we can't mention anything specific here. However, if you're really excited about something, then you may want to consider putting maybe a small portion of your money, 5%, maybe 25% maximum, if that much, into different riskier stocks. But keep in mind, there's a lot of risk associated with that. So 25% would be really high. 5% would be probably a closer number of 5 to 10%, if that. And again, consult an advisor, be very cautious, make sure that you're comfortable losing that money. Are you afraid to leave money to a spendthrift child? How do you deal with it? There's different ways to do it, but the key is finding the right coaches, finding the right advisors to help this person out, someone who they can take advice from. Unfortunately, sometimes it's hard to take advice from family members. Sometimes we just can't hear it from each other. But if you have a third party, someone that person gets along with, so sometimes they can hear a message, right? It's so cool how that happens, but that's just human nature. We live in a pretty social world. God made it that way, what can I tell you? And then finally, how to deal with spouses fighting over financial investing. So one key thing is, if you're fighting with your spouse about anything, I really encourage you guys to just take a break for a second and just give it some space. Don't try to deal with it immediately. Give it a little room to calm down. And then once things are calm, I would seek out at least 2 professionals who you both trust, and you get along with both those people, and both those people should give you more or less similar or advice that's in agreement. If they disagree, so then you need to find two people who potentially could agree on a strategy that you both feel comfortable, that makes sense to you, to give you the confidence to proceed. And that's making a responsible choice, and usually the spouses will understand. But it's better to do something than not to do something, right? To be just stuck in a place of fear and just being scared and I don't know what's going to be. You're not really doing yourself a service, because just money is sitting there. It's not growing. You're actually losing to inflation. So by not doing anything, you actually lose. But by doing things intelligently, you can certainly have a better experience over time. So if you guys enjoyed this, do you guys enjoy this? Did you guys get some value in this? Can you see yourself doing this? Does it make sense? If you guys want some more information, we've set it up so easy for you. You just join our free trial it's less than $1 just to start off. And if you like it, join our membership site for $9.99. We try and keep things really inexpensive, very favorable price that anyone can get in and get educated on the stuff. We built out a cool membership site where we're uploading videos on a regular basis and just trying to answer common questions that our clients have to make sure you guys just get as much education as possible. My goal with this is to be as transparent as possible. I really don't have anything to hide. I want to share with you guys the same strategies that I'm using, that I recommend to people to use, because they're so valuable to know. It makes a world of a difference, in my opinion. And when you're ready for it, we've created a special discount for a financial planning consultation. It's only $200. Sometimes if you go to bigger institutions, they'll charge you $2,500. We're going to give you a high-level service for a similar price, 75% off what we normally charge. And again, it's only for the first 50 people. And as a bonus, you get 6 months complimentary access to the membership site. So it's a pretty sweet deal, and it's for someone who's interested in taking their finances seriously. This is not for someone who's not serious about growing, who's not serious about protecting and growing their wealth. This is for someone who cares about their family's future, and wants to make intelligent decisions and educate themselves to feel good, to feel like you're doing the right thing, to find that confidence, that inner peace, where you're just living on a higher quality of life. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to set up a special consultation, just email me. It's my personal email. And again, we can only offer this deal to the first 50 people that sign up at this price. So I'll take advantage of this deal and look forward to seeing you soon. I hope you guys gained so much from here. I've gained so much from this information, and I just really wanted to share with you guys so you can also benefit from it, because there's so much value here. I wish you guys only good news. Thanks for watching.